The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. The government and the Port Authority, their lawyers said to be in talks, but the government remains strong in its position on what the port owes. The Carifta committee chair calls the audit from the Auditor General garbage. And it is Earth Day. We are kicking off a special week of shows, environmental themed shows here beginning today. Today we're talking with the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, April 22nd, 2024. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Deandrew Cartwright will be joining us. Also this morning, in keeping with our Earth Day, Earth Week theme in business, we're going to be talking about environmentally friendly home and business design, choices you can make to increase the efficiency in your properties. That's all ahead. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, lawyers for the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government will meet soon to discuss the way forward regarding the Davis administration's claim that the port owes the government $357 million. Prime Minister Philip Davis asked about the situation between the GBPA and the government, saying that no stance has changed on the matter. He says that lawyers are talking when there's a scheduled meeting to settle the basis for going forward with respect to how the issues are resolved. But those conversations are to be held very soon, according to the Prime Minister. Now, asked if the dispute comes at a bad time, Davis says, quote, "Who is to determine when is the best time? What I do know is that the state of our country is such that the Bahamian people could no longer afford to subsidize the Port Authority." Well, Lyndon Maycock, the certified public accountant who was chairman of the local organizing committee of the Carifta Games 2023, hosted here in the Bahamas, says he did not seize the opportunity to respond to adverse findings contained in a draft report of the Auditor General on the financial management of that event because he viewed the audit as, quote, garbage. Maycock saying, quote, "I wouldn't even dignify that and say that that's an audit report. I call that a garbage report. I wouldn't even dignify it saying it was an audit report because it was not." In that audit tabled in Parliament last week, the Auditor General, Terence Bastian, found that policies pertaining to the request for funds, purchasing and procurement, and allocation of funds for the games were not adhered to, and that there was a deficit of more than $829,000. A man freed on $1,500 bail after he denied allegations of domestic abuse against his former girlfriend. Prosecutors allege that Philip McPhee Jr. caused harm to Leah Knowles on March 17th. McPhee, who was wearing a black suit and a white shirt, was brought before Magistrate Algernon Allen Jr. in shackles. The defendant's father, Reverend Philip McPhee Sr., asked a police officer to remove the shackles from his son's feet. The officer replied, quote, "He's in custody." Unlike another defendant who faced the same charge, McPhee was not granted police bail and was consequently brought to court by police officers. Allen ordered McPhee not to have any contact with the virtual complainant as condition of his release. McPhee, who is represented by Terrell Butler and Glendon Roll, returns to court on June 3rd for the start of his trial. Prosecutors withdrawing murder charges against two teenagers charged with a double murder last month. The 16-year-old boys were remanded to the juvenile section of the prison after they were charged with the February 26th murders of Andrew Newry Jr. and Malik Seymour, who were gunned down outside a home on Faith Avenue. At the time, the matter was adjourned to July 1st for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment that would fast-track the matter to the Supreme Court. However, the charges were withdrawn in compliance with a directive from the DPP's office. A resident of Lyford Key charged with causing harm to another man on New Year's Day. Philippe Gagnon, a martial artist, is accused of slapping Spencer Charrington and causing harm to him. The charge stems from an incident at a party at Albany after Gagnon's wife accused Charrington of inappropriate behavior. Gagnon pleaded not guilty at his arraignment before Magistrate Algernon Allen Jr. His bail was set to $1,500 and his trial is scheduled for June 3rd. A man's body found floating in a pond in Grand Bahama. This was Friday morning. The discovery made shortly after 8 a.m. at a pond at the Reef Golf Course off Seahorse Road. The man was pronounced dead by emergency medical technicians who responded to the scene. Police say there were no visible signs of trauma on the body. And two men killed in a traffic accident in western New Providence. It happened early Sunday morning. The victims are a 46-year-old Bahamian man and a Filipino man. No age given for that victim. The head-on collision involving a silver Nissan March and a white BYD vehicle occurred shortly after 2 a.m. on West Bay Street near Kiskadee Drive. The men had to be extricated from their vehicles with the jaws of life. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Overseas, the head of Israeli military intelligence resigned today over the failures surrounding Hamas's unprecedented October 7th attack. He became the first senior figure to step down over his role in the deadliest assault in Israel's history. The resignation could set the stage for more resignations among Israel's top security brass over Hamas's attack, when militants blasted through Israel's border defenses, rampaged through Israeli communities unchallenged for hours, and killed 1,200 people, mostly civilians, while taking 250 hostages into Gaza. That attack set off the war against Hamas in Gaza, now in its 7th month. And UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak pledging today that the country's first deportation flights to Rwanda could leave in 10 to 12 weeks, as he promised to end the parliamentary deadlock over a key policy promise before an election expected later this year. Sunak making the comments at a news conference, making his case directly to the public, after vowing last week that Parliament would remain in session until the legislation is passed. The House of Commons will take up the bill later this year, or later in the day, followed by consideration in the House of Lords. Sunak demanded that the unelected House of Lords stop blocking legislation allowing authorities to deport some asylum seekers to Rwanda, as he seeks to make good on a campaign promise to stop the boats that bring migrants to the UK illegally. Sunak, as he told reporters that commercial charter planes are booked to carry the asylum seekers, said, quote, "Enough is enough." He declined to provide details when asked how many people were expected to be on the flights in coming months. In sports, after dropping their first game all season, the Caribbean Gas Panthers turning it up a notch, showing the local volleyball community exactly what they're made of. They won the final 9 sets of the series, completely overwhelming the Bamboo Shack Lady Warhawks and winning another women's title in the New Providence Volleyball Association. The Panthers won a 4th straight NPVA Women's Volleyball Championship at E.W. Davis Gym Sunday, beating the Lady Warhawks convincingly 25-8, 25-8, and 25-14. They won the series 3-1, leaving no doubt as to who was the better team. The Panthers won the final 9 sets by a combined score of 225 to 136. From the NBA, Damian Lillard couldn't be stopped in the first half and couldn't score a point in the second. It all added up to one of the most unusual dominant performances in recent playoff history. Lillard scored all 35 of his points before halftime in the Bucks' 109-94 victory over the Indiana Pacers. Opening the Eastern Conference first-round playoff series, Lillard set a Bucks record for points in either half of the postseason. With 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo on the bench nursing a strained left calf, the Bucks turned to Lillard early and often. He had 19 points in the first quarter alone, producing the highest individual first-half total in a playoff game since Kevin Durant had 38 at the break for the Golden State Warriors in a 2019 first-round game with the LA Clippers. Since the play-by-play era began in 1995, no player ever scored that many points in the first half and went scoreless in the second half in any regular season or postseason game. Other games from the playoffs, the top-seeded Thunder edging past the Pelicans 94-92 in their Game 1. The Celtics getting past the Jimmy Butler-less Miami Heat 114-94. And from the Olympics, the world's top anti-doping regulator saying after reviewing a television documentary and newspaper reports that it stands by its decision to clear 23 Chinese swimmers to compete at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics, despite testing positive for banned heart medication. The World Anti-Doping Agency issued a statement following the release Sunday of a documentary on the cases by German broadcaster ARD. In an earlier statement following initial newspaper reports, WADA said it agreed with Chinese authorities and ruled that the swimmers' samples had been contaminated. The New York Times reported that Chinese anti-doping authorities found the results of the tests were adverse analytical findings, but cleared the swimmers without any penalties after finding that the samples were flagged as positive as a result of contamination. That's sports. And that's the overnight time for your first look at weather. Your first look at weather brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Here's what's happening. We've got a cold front expected to move across the northwest Bahamas by this afternoon with some showers and moderate to fresh winds. Meanwhile, high-pressure ridging continues to shift east of the islands. So, there are a number of warnings. Beachgoers and boaters advised to exercise caution in local waters and avoid entering Atlantic waters this afternoon due to elevated seas, rough surf, and the risk of rip currents. Everybody's being advised that due to high UV indices, you need to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities. Getting to that time of the year, folks. And the risk of bushfires remains elevated across the country. So, for today, for the Northwest Bahamas, we're looking at mostly sunny and warm conditions. By this afternoon, over the extreme Northwest Bahamas, expect breezy conditions, variable cloudiness, and a few isolated showers, and the chance of offshore thunderstorms near the frontal boundary. Smallcraft advisory comes into effect for Atlantic exposures by tonight. Wind southwest to west at 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable at times ahead of the front, shifting west-northwest to north-northwest at 15 to 25 knots behind the frontal passage. Seas 2 to 4 feet ahead of the front, but building to 4 to 6 feet near shore and up to 9 feet along the Gulf Stream and Atlantic exposures behind the frontal passage. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, mostly sunny and warm, becoming mostly fair and mild tonight, a bit breezy with a chance of stray showers in the southeast Bahamas. Winds southerly at 10 knots or less in the Central Islands, east to southeast at 10 to 15 with occasional gusts. Seas 2 to 4 feet near shore, but up to 5 feet offshore in occasional gusts. High temperatures today getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit. Your first look at weather brought to you by Easy Car Sales. The Easy Car Sales lot is full of new electric vehicles waiting for you to test drive. Stylish, powerful, full of the latest tech features. EVs are a great investment in your future, free from expensive gas and maintenance. Drop into Easy Car Sales on Glaston Road or visit easy242.com to find your EV and dump the gas pump today.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
It is time for a break. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up.
The signs are clear. It's time to pay less for your current mortgage by switching to Scotiabank. Enjoy lower interest rates and no payments up to 2 months when you switch to Scotiabank today. Plus, we'll even pay your switch costs. It's that easy. Ready to switch to Scotiabank? Call us today at 242-356-1697 or visit bs.scotiabank.com to switch your mortgage to become mortgage-free faster.
Looking to elevate your gadget game or are tech troubles simply slowing you down? Escape to a world of innovation at Custom Computers, your go-to store for the latest cutting-edge tech. Whether you need to upgrade your life with the best from Apple and Windows or your device needs a little TLC, the Custom Computers Know-How Store is the destination for unbeatable expertise and quality repairs. With 2 convenient locations, there's a Custom Computers near you on Patton Street in Palmdale and Caves Village, or call 396-1100.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
At Simplified Lending, we've unscrambled the loan process, making it fast and hassle-free. Personal, business, medical. You apply, we'll reply in as little as 24 hours. Call us today at 603-1730 or stop by Simplified Lending in the R&D Plaza on JFK Drive. Simplified Lending for simplified living.
Simplified lending for simplified living. Simplified lending for simplified living.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's there. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Deandra Cartwright. Deandra Cartwright, good morning.
Good morning, Dwight Strachan. How are you?
Well, great to have you with us, as always.
Always happy to be here on a bright, beautiful Monday morning.
It is Earth Day.
It is Earth Day. It's the actual 54th anniversary of the establishment of that day.
Wow, you got the anniversary numbers. Okay, well, look at that. And we're going to be observing Earth Day, Earth Week here on the show.
Okay.
Monday through Thursday, we've got a whole series, a whole lineup of environmentally themed topics.
Okay,
and we're
that's
looking
fantastic.
forward to the folks we're going to be talking to this week. This morning, we're kicking it off with DEPP, DEP, Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. You can find out more about what they do and some of the big issues that we're facing environmentally here in the country. And then later in business, we're talking about environmentally friendly home and business design choices that you can make to make everything more efficient and more pleasing to the environment, all that stuff. And
It's going to be an interesting topic, I think.
yeah, we're going to find out how many people really care about that kind of stuff here, too.
I was just having a conversation with somebody over the weekend about that, actually. Apparently, you're not supposed to clear down the native trees and
Right.
fauna, flora on your property. And hardly anybody actually adheres to that.
Yeah. But the officials definitely talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
But-
I mean,
but-
you
but people
talk
don't.
with no action and then no penalties of any kind. Yeah.
Yeah, and as they'll tell you, their hands are tied. It is, your property, but they need some stronger laws. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so that's all I had. But let's begin with what else is in the news. In the news, in the National Guardian, the big headline, government and GBPA lawyers in talks, but the Prime Minister says the government remains strong in its position on what the port owes. Okay. That's an exhausting conversation. I'm actually annoyed and tired of talking about Grand Bahama and the Port Authority.
I feel like we've been discussing this particular issue for about 3 weeks now. Like this exact position.
Yeah. Well, hey, pick up today's National Guardian to read about it. Nobody wants to budge on this, and even the people of Grand Bahama. I don't know what they're looking for, but they're not seeing the big picture, and everybody's feeling hopeless and helpless, and not understanding their voices.
Well, I think it's coming across like a custody battle. Is it not?
Maybe, but both parents need counseling. But anyway,
Wait, where's
you
the
can't win with any of these folks. I can tell you that now.
Where's Dr. G
You need a
this
third
morning?
party to come in there.
Arbitrator? Mediator?
No. You need to be freed from both parents. Oh. You need to be emancipated.
Emancipate ourselves.
That's the only answer for Grand Bahama. But they don't feel that way. So we're going to leave that alone. Like how they tell you got to be married to talk about marital rape and
Don't
stuff?
let them start that because they tell us last week that we got to get
Well,
married.
I'm in this regard, perhaps you need to be from Grand Bahama to talk about this because they're not listening to outsiders because apparently we don't know anything. But hey, we'll see where that one goes. All right, so the other big story, Carifta Committee Chair calls audit garbage.
You got to say it like a Bahamian.
Garbage.
There you go. Garbage.
Well, our Candia Dame's writing about it. Lyndon Maycock, the certified public accountant who was chairman of the local organizing committee of the Carifta Games 2023, hosted right here in the Bahamas by the Bahamas, said he did not seize the opportunity to respond to adverse findings contained in a draft report of the Auditor General on the financial management of that event because he viewed the audit as garbage.
Okay, I really want to know how does the CPA, outside of his position as the chair, how does the CPA call a report garbage? Is there like a further justification, or is it that he just doesn't agree with the findings? Is it from a technical standpoint? Because if he wasn't a CPA, then I could maybe understand calling it garbage per se. But if you're going to say that, then you know what? Let's see what else the story says.
Yes. Maycock said, quote, I wouldn't even dignify that and say that that's an audit report. I call that a garbage report. I wouldn't even dignify it as saying it was an audit report because it was not.
Okay.
Now, you recall all the things we talked about last week that were found, the monies that were allocated for certain things, not adhered to according to the budgets, and there was a deficit of over $829,000 according to that report.
Well, this is seeming to be a trend with monies shifting from what they were allocated for being applied elsewhere. Now with the millions of dollars or the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions at this point, unaccounted for. I think we just need to wait until we hear more about that across the board. But that's seemingly also becoming a trend. Powerful.
Well, some might say tradition.
Is the position of the Auditor General protected? Because at this point...
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is why we're actually hearing this information then.
Okay. Well, he tabled it in the House. All right. So the audit notes that the government initially budgeted an amount of $1 million for the Carifta Games. Maycock said the games were, quote, grossly under budgeted. He said, quote, the government of the Bahamas was only acting in a capacity as a guarantor of the games. And so wherever there were any shortfalls or any monies, then the government would step in. Responding to a question from the Nassau Guardian, Maycock said the findings relating to the financial management of the games were, quote, totally incorrect. He said acceptable procedures were followed, quote, absolutely to the T. After the audit was made public, PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell questioned whether the impacted entities had been given a chance to respond to adverse findings before the final report. Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture Mario Bolek confirmed that his ministry was sent the draft audit for response, but said it never responded because it never received any answers from the local organizing committee, which had day-to-day operations of the games. Bolek was also largely dismissive of the Auditor General's findings and rejected the conclusion that the games went over budget. Now, asked by the Nassau Guardian why the LOC failed to provide answers, Maycock said, quote, because I don't respond to garbage, especially when you have no jurisdiction. Now, hold up now. What?
That's the part that I literally has my mouth open.
Who, what? What's happening here? Okay. That's odd. Quote, when you have no jurisdiction to perform an audit, why would I respond to something that is stupid? Hold up. Slam the brakes
now
here.
you see why I say we have to actually,
But somebody's confused. Somebody's not getting the right information. I don't understand this part
No,
here.
I think it has a part to do with later on in the story with the establishment of a company.
Let's continue reading. Would you respond to something that is stupid? Well.
Welcome to politics.
I was going to say to talk radio, but okay. Anyway,
Join us any Monday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We do shows on Saturdays and Sundays too. But anyway, however, under the Constitution of the Bahamas, the Auditor General is independent and has a specific function to perform in assessing accountability regarding the expenditure of public funds. Maycock insisted, though, that, quote, everything was done above board in terms of how the games and the funds expended were managed. He said, quote, everything was done properly, everything was accounted for. Those games were the best games ever in the history of the Carifta Games. It was the best games ever, and you know where that came from? It didn't come from me. That came from the president of World Athletics himself. Those games were the best games ever, and the games were profitable financially, and the games were profitable socially. Now, the Carifta Games Company Limited was organized on September 2nd, 2022. According to the audit, the office is located at the Bahamas Association of Athletics Association, the B3As. A local organizing committee was established under the portfolio of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture to plan the games. The executive company was appointed jointly by NACAC, the North American, Central American, and Caribbean Athletics Association, the ministry, and the B3As. The audit sought to ascertain whether the activities of the Carifta Games were carried out in accordance with the relevant laws that govern its operations, and that the internal controls and accounting systems were adequate and operating efficiently and effectively. The Auditor General concluded that documents presented did not indicate that the 2023 Grift Games Company Limited was registered correctly. The report also said, upon examining the registration documents, it became apparent that the organization is characterized as a company under the Companies Act 1992, operating as a non-profit organization. But Maycock dismissed this finding. He said, quote, "You can choose whatever mechanisms, type of company. I do incorporations every day. You can choose a regular Bahamian company, or you can choose a not-for-profit company. If you want to incorporate a non-profit company, that takes months, up to 6. A regular Bahamian company, you can use that vehicle to establish a company. There's nothing wrong with that." He said that he, Maycock, needed to, quote, "school the Auditor General." Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, let's get your reaction, folks, to that. We were saying we needed to hear from the LOC, and they are totally calling the audit garbage, but also questioning a lot of things in regards to the Office of the Auditor General. Boy. What say you on this? 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Now, I am a little surprised by a few things here, right? In addition
Just
to
a few?
in addition to the claim about the Auditor General not having the jurisdiction to perform the audit, that was weird. But also the fact that he said that the games were underfunded. I mean, they had a very extensive, unless these companies were not donating much, but a very extensive sponsorship list. And
does the audit
I'm
actually,
surprised.
Does the audit actually outline how much monies were received and the quantities?
Not in any of the reports we saw, but,
Not yet.
but
I
maybe
mean,
maybe it did. Maybe it just wasn't reported. But maybe it did. That would be good to know.
But I mean, if we're going to say it's underfunded, right?
Right.
And we know that they've received funds from sponsors or whatnot, then how about we start quoting numbers?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, with the response that we're seeing here, it may not be the complete response. So perhaps they need a press release of some kind to document with the numbers and whatnot. But there are no numbers. There are no financials inside there. So we only know that they were allegedly underfunded with only $1 million. Now you have it being alleged that it's over 800, how many hundreds of thousands,
829.
right, that are not accounted for. But then again, I'm still stuck. Like I am still stuck on the need to school the Auditor General on the creation of companies and how that is. So is it that because the Crifta Corporation that seemingly was created, that's why it said that the Auditor General doesn't have jurisdiction? Because I would assume, and I might be wrong, I probably am wrong, but if public funds are given to an entity that's operating as a nonprofit, is it that's why he's saying that the Auditor General has no jurisdiction? But then again, should that also be something that we need to be looking at, that if there is an entity, or the belief is that an entity that receives money from the government doesn't have to give an accounting, then I don't know, but that should be an extension of public accounting.
They still have to do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I am not. Oh, okay.
yeah,
so
yeah.
then I don't understand why he's saying that.
Hey, let's get your reaction to it. Let's go to the phone lines, and we've got a lot of text messages coming in. We'll get to those as well. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
To both of you, it's difficult to understand because it's mud. We're not used to having to, figure out, go through some calculus equation to get to the truth. It shouldn't be that kind of country. But everybody wants to, who wants to have something hidden. It looks like the longer, and the people who are attracted to this politics, this political game, are persons who are nefarious. Because I don't see the honesty in here. My kids don't see it. And apparently those who are involved in it don't see it. Where are the receipts? There should be invoices for what you do. Any money disbursed through Parliament is subject to be audited by the Auditor General. He's been doing this for years and coming up short. I mean, so obviously this is the pattern they want to put in play where they do what they want to do, Dwight.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Text messages. You can text again, 422-4796. Continue to call in, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Toll free, 242-300-5720. This person says here, an audit report is an opinion. Maycock, as a professional in the field, is entitled to proffer an opinion as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, garbage is a lot, though. And schooling people, that's a lot. Those are serious opinions that you have. But okay. This person says, I know each time this government does something and it makes the headlines, they come back to change up the facts. All right. Has that happened as yet? I don't know if it has.
Well, it's just started, Dwight, the conversation. So we have to give it a few days, a few weeks, if we are looking at the trend of other things.
Well, maybe everything will be explained away, or maybe they know where all the
Where's your precedent for that behavior?
This text says, Maycock has just amplified the public's perception of his ignorance. If you have any disagreement with an auditor's findings, the mechanism to voice those disagreements is the response to the questions posed by the auditor. Based on your response and the new information you provide to the auditor to clear up any misconceptions they held, the auditor is then bound to adjust their findings. This is standard behavior for audits everywhere in the world. Only a fool would say, I'm not answering because everything in there is wrong. Very interesting points there, right? Why would you have the opportunity to school him, right? When you got the draft report. School him then.
No, because it should not have been done.
Oh, okay.
So why dignify that with a technical response, an analytical review, if you will?
Great question here. In the article, Maycock says it was the best ever and profitable, right? So this texter says, where is the profit they spoke of?
Well, if you have the deficit, then you don't want to fill that deficit, so we're not going to talk about the profits.
But you said it was profitable.
Mao could say anything. I even
Right.
That's
That's exactly what the problem
But then where
is.
did that profit go? Did it go back into the same thing that the Auditor General is now saying wasn't even registered correctly? Oh, my goodness.
This texter says, now, hold on, somebody needs to go to jail. Well, I don't know. Anyway, tell the man to go to school there and take the minister and the whole cabinet with him.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. Anyway. School where? At the jail here? Oh, boy. Anyway, they're claiming the Auditor General report is garbage because its obvious funds were not accounted for. Stop taking the paying of people for fools. Until we decide to jail some people, things will not change. See, everyone's talking about jail. Does it need to go to this? Maybe people just need to answer the questions, right? That were posed apparently weeks, if not months ago. Why did it have to get to this point? Oh, boy. I want to read that line again. That was a lot.
I feel like this is going to be a lot. This is another saga, I think, beginning.
Another what?
Another saga.
Yes.
Financial saga. There seems to be another one every other week.
Quote, because I don't respond to garbage, especially when you have no jurisdiction. When you have no jurisdiction to perform an audit, why would I respond to something that is stupid? Would you respond to something that is stupid?
Okay, hold on. Again, I might be wrong. Please correct me. Feel free to. I like to, learn. But if there was no jurisdiction, then why was it tabled? Do we table things that have no jurisdiction inside the house?
You're
Sometimes we may
responding
do.
to something you don't need to respond to. This is the same, right? Learn from the people.
Okay.
Don't respond to stuff that don't need to be responded to.
Okay.
Right.
Then how will we ever learn and move forward?
Well, but now there's some things where you can do that, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But the other things you have to respond to.
Okay.
So we need the discernment to know, well, some of us do, when not to respond and when to respond. We know what's wrong. You know that statement is incorrect. Oh, boy. Anyway, continue to text us. Call us 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Toll free, 242-300-5720. 0. I'm going to read a few more messages before we go to the break. This text here, Dwight, a former cabinet minister, is charged with some stuff from various ministries and okay, what are you saying here? Yeah, well, this is, as we have said, yes, there's a pattern emerging. We really do need the checks and the balances, because people really do believe that they can get away with a lot of stuff. It seems.
Again, if the precedent has been set, then it becomes practice.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. We'll pick up what else is in the news when we get back. This is Morning Blend on a Monday morning here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Rock the night away, rock the night away. Rock the night away. Come on, rock the night away. Rock the night away, rock the night away. Cause if it's drinks you want, then I got this. Anything at the bar, I got. If your friends drinking, then I got this. Just ask. Cause I just wanna see you smile. Hey, rock the night away. Cause if you're feeling lonely, I got this. If you're feeling blue, I got. Your mind knocking up, then I got this. It's all up to you. I just wanna see you smile.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
RBC. Are you buying a home, renovating, or exploring mortgage options? With cash back and up to 90% financing, we'll find the perfect mortgage for you. Pre-qualify in just 60 seconds and get connected with a mortgage specialist today. Visit rbc.com/mortgages/all of you. RBC. Conditions apply.
7:54, time for your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you. In your real-time traffic right now, we are seeing heavy traffic on Milo Butler Highway from south of the Fire Trail roundabout straight through to Tonic Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes. Traffic back to Belong Fire Trail as well. And some slow-moving traffic as you approach the roundabout on the Tonic Williams Darling Highway side if you're heading westbound. Elsewhere, we've got some slow-moving traffic on Glaston Road, but northbound, you'll see that there about midway between Fire Trail and JFK Drive. And over on Blue Hill Road, it's busy for you near St. Vincent Road and near Carmichael if you're heading northbound, and especially from Soldier Road straight through to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Independence Drive eastbound to East Street and East West Highway, that roundabout looking busy for you. Northbound on East Street as well. And then we've got Prince Charles Drive near the major intersections like Beatrice Avenue and especially Robinson Road and Soldier Road. And that area looking a bit congested for you this morning. Soldier Road northbound as well to the roundabout to the intersection with Bernard Wolfe and Village Road. Busy for you, as is Eastern Road just east of Fox Hill to Johnson Road westbound. That's what we're seeing right now. We'll have another update for you after the 8 o'clock news. Morning Blend traffic brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you for more information. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. We understand that your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnoses and true personalized treatment begins. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshosp.com.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, we plan on shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Mommy, why can't dogs talk? Why do I have to go to school and you don't? Why do you sing in the morning when you're bad at it? Why don't you brush your teeth when you take me to school? Why doesn't it ever snow here? Why does Daddy take the bus to work? Why are trees so tall? Why don't you tell me where babies come from? Mommy, Mommy, Mommy!
We're like a kid that doesn't ask a million questions before noon. CG Atlantic Agents and Brokers. Good like that.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
Are you ready for the best of the best? Keep the Vibe Alive Music Group, Up for Sound Promotion, and Guardian Radio presents the best of the best Rake and Script Explosion Concert. Mark your calendars for May 11th as Super Club Breezes grounds ignite with Bahamian talent featuring KB, Gino D, Funky D, Veronica Bishop, The Brylanders, Avi, Elon Moxie, and Shine 242. Join the Falcons, Iron Store, Jovi Pierre, Johnny Cake, Mama D, Nishi LS, Pat Rami, Stevie S, and Shad Colley and the VIPs for an electrifying night of music and culture. Tickets are flying, so grab yours now. Available online at BahamasEtickets.com or swing by the Beauty Shack on Soldier Road and Carmichael Road. This is the event of the year. The best of the best Rake and Scrape Explosion at Breezes Resorts. Gates open at 6 p.m. Don't miss out on the Bahamian magic.
You've seen electric cars on the road, but isn't it time you drive one? Easy Car Sales invites you to experience the smooth, powerful ride and immerse yourself in the luxury and latest tech features. Find out why the Bahamas is going electric. Visit easy242.com and book your test drive now. What are you waiting for? Save money, drive smarter. There's an EV waiting for you at Easy Car Sales.
Make Mother's Day one to remember with a delightful Mother's Day brunch valued at $300 courtesy of Haagen-Dazs and Fun Foods Wholesale. It's simple. Just head over to Lickety Split or Super Value locations and purchase a pint of your favorite Haagen-Dazs ice cream for just $8.99. After purchasing, don't forget to write your full name and number on the back of your receipt and drop it into any entry box at the store. You're now in the running for our grand prize drawing, taking place on May 10th. Hurry, this offer ends soon. Happy Mother's Day from Haagen-Dazs. Promotion ends May 8th.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. And now at 8:19, it's time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. We've got a cold front That's expected to move across the northwest Bahamas by this afternoon, and that's going to bring some shower activity and moderate to fresh winds. Meanwhile, high-pressure ridging continues to shift east of the islands. Boaters and beachgoers should exercise caution in local waters, but avoid entering Atlantic waters by this afternoon due to elevated seas, rough surf, and a risk of rip currents. And everyone is advised that we've got some high UV indices, heat indices today, and they need to remain hydrated and limit outdoor activities. Plus, there is still the elevated risk of bushfire development. So, for today, your forecast for the Northwest Bahamas, mostly sunny and warm, but by this afternoon over the extreme Northwest Bahamas, expect breezy and variable cloudiness with a few isolated showers and the chance of offshore thunderstorms near the frontal boundary. Small craft advisory comes into effect for Atlantic exposures by tonight. For the central and southeast Bahamas, mostly sunny and warm, becoming mostly fair and mild tonight, a bit breezy with the chance of a stray shower in the southeast Bahamas. Temperatures getting up to around 82 Fahrenheit, 28 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 72 Fahrenheit, 22 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that frontal boundary will continue to move southeastwards into the central Bahamas on Tuesday with higher seas and fresh winds. By Wednesday, it's expected to stall near the southeast Bahamas while gradually weakening. High pressure will build over the northern islands after the frontal passage. So, for Tuesday, partly cloudy and breezy. Chance of isolated showers near the front. Wednesday, partly mostly sunny, warm and a bit breezy during the day, turning mostly fair and mild at night. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Sherwin-Williams Paints has got you covered for all of your painting and equipment needs. Visit Sherwin-Williams Paints online or in-store today. .822, time for another check of your traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you. Milo Butler Highway still your hot spot this morning. Traffic from well south of Bellot Road straight through the roundabout with Fire Trail Road and on to Tonic Williams Darling Highway in the northbound lanes. Traffic back to Belong Fire Trail, both directions east and westbound at this time. And then at the six-legged roundabout, still busy on the northbound side with Milo Butler Highway, eastbound on John F. Kennedy Drive, and southbound on New Providence Highway, southwestbound on Farrington Road as well. Looking busy for you. And we've got Saunders Beach, some congestion on West Bay if you're heading eastbound toward the roundabout with New Providence Highway. Carmichael Road westbound, some slow-moving traffic, but manageable if you're heading out to Coral Harbor Road. In eastern New Providence, we've got Eastern Road still busy for you east of Fox Hill to about Johnson Road and Prince Charles Drive at the major intersections. Burner Road still busy near the schools, especially if you're heading westbound. And Robinson Road between Soldier and Old Trail, heavy traffic for you there westbound this morning. East Street, north and south of Soldier Road, looking congested for you, northbound mainly. And Blue Hill Road, north and south of Soldier Road again, especially north of Soldier Road on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. Those are your hot spots. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you for more information.
Sherwin-Williams Bahamas doesn't mess about when it comes to product range and product knowledge.
If it's a new product come in the store, we walk the store and study that product.
One thing with our boss, if a new product comes in, he takes the time and he's always keeping us up to date with product knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had 9 weeks of different products that we had to study, and we had exams at the end of each product.
Yeah.
The only way we can sell the product effective, we have to know that product. Yeah, that helps us to relate to our customers. It gives us better knowledge to know what product to introduce to them. You understand? So we can know what product to give them to use and what product not to give them to use.
Mm-hmm.
So product knowledge is really key in Sherwin-Williams.
They got the keys. And the key is the product knowledge that comes with our extensive product range at Sherwin-Williams Paints Bahamas. Find colour in every day.
If you're looking to diversify your portfolio, chart a course for RF Mutual Funds, where you can get global returns through our suite of internationally invested funds. Get exposure in U.S., Asian, European, and emerging markets without central bank approval. And with financial services leader Morgan Stanley as the advisor of our international funds, you can benefit from RF's global connections. Set sail for international markets today by visiting rfgroup.com. RF. Money at work.
Living with a neurological condition shouldn't define you. At Cleveland Clinic in Florida, we do whatever it takes to make life better today while discovering new treatments for a brighter tomorrow. From epilepsy management to specialized spine care and brain tumor surgery, we're delivering world-class neurology care for the day-to-day, for the days you live for every care in the world. Visit clevelandclinicflorida.org/Caribbean.
You hear what Boss Man was saying in the back there just now?
About what? The luncheon?
Why you always worried about food? No, about how we gotta pay a little more for national insurance.
Mildred, you talking fool. I can't afford to pay that.
And you're always crying, poor mouth. Ain't gonna be much. Boss still gotta pay. 1st of July, 2024.
I think that criminal benefit is what did help my boy Tony through the pandemic. That same unemployment benefit. And guess what?
What?
Susan, I think she'd get a pregnancy benefit, eh?
You mean maternity benefit, eh? So now, we gotta do our part to make sure we get our pension. All right.
For more information, visit nibratencrease.com.
Here's to the go-getters, the early risers, and the late-night dreamers. You, the visionaries, painting futures in your mind, in your studio, your office, your sacred space. Here's to the adventurers, explorers of every realm. To you, the innovators, turning the cogs of progress. In a world where connection is a lifeline, a pathway to possibilities. Alive is the perfect connection for everyone, every lifestyle, every day.
Visit BeAlive.com today.
Hey! We all gotta live, so we should learn to give. Come on! Take that mess from off the wall. Give that baby back his ball.
Leave other people things alone. There's other ways to get involved. Get involved, get involved.
Don't be no fool, stay in school. Yes, man. Let your mind become a tool.
Just we're meant for fools to be locked away from society.
Get involved. Come on,
get involved. Get involved, get involved. Get involved, get involved.
Get involved, get involved.
Get involved, get involved. They got a way to get involved. Get involved, get involved. Let's go. Come on.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan with Deandra Cartwright. And we are going to kick off our Earth Week celebrations. It is Earth Day today. And so we've got quite a few conversations planned for this morning and for the next few days, straight through Thursday. So you don't want to miss it. Don't want to miss it. All right, so that's coming up. But we continue with what's in the news. We've been talking about the response from the chair of the local organizing committee for Carifta 2023, held right here in the Bahamas, the 50th anniversary of the Games. Lyndon Maycock calling the audit and the report garbage. Just very surprising comments here. And so we're getting your reaction to it again. This is the line that's sticking out to us. Asked why he didn't respond to the draft report that was presented a few weeks back. Maycock said, quote, "Because I don't respond to garbage, especially when you have no jurisdiction. When you have no jurisdiction to perform an audit, why would I respond to something that is stupid? Would you respond to something that is stupid?" Okay, so that's where we are, yeah. Oh boy, so 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Toll free, 242-300-5720. All right, so we're getting some more of your text messages in here. This person says here, audits are productive tools, but it can only help if the auditor... Did we read this already? Anyway, it can only help if the auditor department answers the questions raised by the audit. An audit report is only bad when it is ignored. Department operations should adopt much of the recommendations given by the auditors. If auditors are not given helpful recommendations, or consideration should be given to changing your auditors, but audits are important to the department and company. Also, approved budget levels should never be ignored. If you need a higher budget, then financial secretary should have been asked to reallocate funds within the overall annual budget. Money should be reallocated from less important projects and assigned to more important ones. Overall annual budget should never be exceeded. Okay. A couple more messages here. This person says here, if a professional public servant, no less, produces a report and you disagree, I think the proper response would be to supply your report with your numbers. It doesn't make sense to me to refute an objective report with subjective insults. That's comparing apples and oranges. Intelligent behaviors are waiting to hear the comparison of apples and apples. What was the amount of the profit? Yep. Okay. Why was Mr. Maycock interviewed during happy hour? Because it sure sounded as if he was either... Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I don't know if that was the case. But anyway, seeing that only opinions are being bandied about, it is my opinion that the LOC felt that because government was guaranteeing the money, they had carte blanche to do what they wanted, however they wanted, with our money, and not to be held accountable for it. This is not, as I'm editing here. Okay, this guy sounds really ignorant. Last week, the Minister of Sports said he personally requested the audit. In Maycock's response, he asked, who gives the Auditor General the authority to submit me this stupid audit? Well, you're paraphrasing, clearly. Garbage audit, I think he said. Garbage. Waiting for Mario Bolek to respond to Maycock, telling him his audit request was garbage. It's getting very, very mucky. It certainly is. Oh, boy. So the LOC chair got a draft, but the minister didn't? They all did. Everybody got the draft, it seems. Right? Well, at least the minister must have handed it over. And he didn't get any responses, so he didn't respond. Ah, boy. Anyway, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture made the request of the LOC. He must respond. Yep. May basically telling us that he feels entitled to do and spend the taxpayers' money as if it's his own personal bank account. Wow. Well, we know Lyndon Maycock. I'm sure this is going to make sense at some point. And maybe when he thinks about what he said... he'll come back with
what?
More rational explanation. Right?
So what we had suggested earlier on, that we would perhaps benefit, as a public benefit, from a comprehensive press release and response. And then perhaps that could be a bit more elaborative on the responses to the questions that we've been raising as a collective. Because the present response does not seem to be appreciated by the public at large. But maybe it takes time to formulate that. But how much time? How long have they had this report out now? About a week? 2 weeks?
Well, it was tabled last week.
So,
yes,
so about a week.
Sure.
But there weren't, okay.
But they saw the draft. I don't know how long that was prepared, but not quite a year yet since the, it's been, about a year since the games happened. So, yeah.
Powerful.
Okay.
Lots of questions today.
Speaking of games, how can I transfer a ticket purchased online for the World Relays to someone else? Good luck. I don't know. I got to go back to where you purchased it from. Boy. So we will see. We will see. This didn't need to get to this point, but this is what we do best around here, it seems. Make little molehills become giant mountains. If people had just, said something early on, it wouldn't have to get to this point. But we always find ourselves here because we like the drama. Remember when TNT used to use that as their slogan? We love,
Yes.
we know drama. I think that they got that from the Bahamas. We need to reclaim that one. It's serious. These things don't have to get this complicated.
No, but the thing, as a people, we love it. It's our culture. But does it have to be that way, though? Like,
apparently.
I mean, if we're going to
If you don't have drama, you're not living.
Well,
you're
if we're going to
you're not alive.
sensationalize something, if we're going to sensationalize something, then why can we also not have the other side of the story, right? We're going to blow things out of proportion, but then present the facts too to bring us back down to earth. Or we constantly live on the high of sensationalism.
Indeed. Give us a call, folks. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, my brother. Good morning, your co-host.
How you doing?
Good, man. Once again, it goes to show when persons don't understand procedure and they don't have policy. So, first of all, every auditor that does an audit does not have to be certified. Your audit report must be signed off by a certified, licensed CPA or CA or chartered accountant in any event. So, for Mr. Maker to suggest that the persons who did the audit were not all certified accountants, he doesn't know accounting procedure. Most persons who just pass the exams, they're not certified until they go through some level of training for about a year or so. And for the most part, they go into firms, and firms send them to do audits. And even accounting firms send a lot of persons who have just BA degrees in accounting or some accounting background. You don't have to be a CPA to perform an audit. You have to be a CPA or a licensed certified accountant to sign off on financials. So these folks sound so ignorant, trying to make themselves sound smart, making these statements and supposed to be public figures, fooling around the public funds and think they're not supposed to be accountable. This is what happens when it starts off with other persons in other positions doing the same thing, so they figure they can follow suit. We got to get this country in order as they start spending. And oftentimes, because a person in a senior position does something, another guy who has some level of authority or some fun think he has the right to do so. And that just have to stop. Again, I call on the financial secretary to bring these people in line. When these people get these new positions and appointments in the public service, they don't know the Financial Administration Audit Act. They don't understand certain procedures. They need to have some level of training. It's unfortunate there's no institution that trains new politicians or government officials or persons dealing with government funds on these policies. They ought to get some level of training. If they're not getting it, they ought to get it. Obviously, Mr. Maker knows nothing about public financing. He has not read the Financial Administration Audit Act. He will make such ignorant statements.
Okay.
Everybody, including the Prime Minister, is accountable for every dime spent by the government and every dime collected. The expenditure and revenue of this country is governed by the Financial Administration Audit Act. And these guys need to know that. The Auditor General only goes and performs an audit based on what you tell him. And also, he's saying that the minister indicating that he asked the Auditor General, invited them to do an audit. That's fine. I don't know if that is the case, but I heard that has not been the case. And no official letter has been sent to the Auditor General based on what I've heard. Ask them to perform the audit because nobody gives direction to the Auditor General.
Right.
Now, you may have spoken to one Auditor General staff who may have gave the Auditor General some information, and based on that information, the Auditor General made a determination that's going to do the audit. But auditors normally work on tips also. So when I was the part of the Auditor General's department, if you get a tip on something that's happening in the government ministry or department, we would go and perform that audit.
Yeah, this is very bizarre, very bizarre. And thank you so much for calling in. This is, I really, it makes you very uncomfortable, right? I mean, clearly, when it comes to freedom of information or any type of information at all, there are people who just really seem to think they're above this and shouldn't be made to answer questions at all. It's just really shocking. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You are live on the air.
Good morning, sir. First of all, I believe as the only poor person ever called your show.
The only what, sorry?
Only poor person ever called your show, because all your call it seems like they are middle class or. What I'm calling concern is that the labor laws in the Bahamas is after 40 hours, time and a half, and overtime. When a major company does not adhere to the rules, where do the employee goes?
You have a few options. The tribunal, industrial tribunal, is one.
Okay. And
you're just randomly calling? You're not calling about what we're talking about? That's what's happening
I'm calling because I tried to call your show for many days, mornings, and I couldn't get through. I finally get through.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a serious concern of me, you know. We are working long hours and labor laws not being adhered to, but yet still they are putting pressure on the employers, the employees, to make sure their rules go right. You know, they suspended them if they do wrong, all sorts of things.
All right, so you got to call the Department of Labor and the Industrial Tribunal. That'll be the best to deal with there. All right, let's read these before we take a break. This person says here, it's amazing that when the Auditor General presents a report under the other government, these guys jump all over it and accept it as they should, but once involved and they don't like the report, now the Auditor General is presenting garbage. I'm insulted constantly by the politicians who seem to think we are conks. Boy.
Golden Conch Award.
This person says here, happy belated anniversary to Guardian Radio. May you have many more years on the air with awesome broadcasting. About the audit, I may have missed something, but the government budgeted $1 million for the games and ended up with a shortfall of $800,000. This isn't a good thing that they have at the end of the event spent less, essentially. I don't think Maycock's response was professional, and unless I am misunderstanding something, I believe he missed an opportunity to state how good the games were managed. Well, he did say that. He said it was the best ever. I'm not surprised by the overspend. The LOC even brought a lady back from retirement who was nicely paid and has a red license plate. Okay. Additionally, another retired gentleman was brought back with a perk of an electric vehicle to use, which he still uses today. What's happening here? The marketing lady had. Okay, this is somebody testifying. Maycock is the fall guy because he didn't have full control over all the spending. Yikes. What is happening? The text line has gone insane. This is a good point to take a break, folks. We're going to see where this goes over the next few weeks. If there will be any retraction of previous statements, any new statements, any responses officially, because all we heard was that it was garbage, but not how this was wrong.
I still have hope that there's going to be a comprehensive press release in response to all of this.
Good luck.
Let's keep optimism alive, Dwight.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait to see it. We'll be back, folks. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Now people come up here from Inagua, Auckland's Long Island, Orange, Zuma. You see them here, rich and poor. Some of them even sleeping on the floor. When you ask him, hey man, where you from? He say, who me? I come from Nassau. You see them here, rich and poor. Some of them even sleeping on the floor. But I'm a Bahamian, I come from the mainland.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
In 2023, over 9 million visitors came to the Bahamas. This year, shattering that record. That's why tourism is everyone's business.
Paradise is not only found in Nassau, but throughout our 16-island destination.
No matter who you are or what you do, we all have a part to play in our tourism industry.
This is our country.
These are our islands.
This is our home.
That's why tourism is everyone's business.
In the world of business, technology is not a choice, it's a necessity. And for businesses that demand excellence, there's only one choice for unparalleled support and cutting-edge technology. Custom Computers. You have challenges and we have solutions. Computing, networking, storage, and printing for enterprises large and small, aligned with premium brands like HP, Microsoft, Konica Minolta, and more. Get tech done the right way with Custom Computers. Call the know-how team at 396-1101.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
RBC is a bit for all of you. Life is full of twists, turns, and defining moments that create your own unique story. However your story unfolds, we're here to help guide you through it. From every big decision to every new adventure, RBC is a bit for all of you. Visit rbc.com/Caribbean/all of you.
KB and Sting, coming with the Bohemian team. Come on, woo! Oh yeah! Yes!
I's a Bohemian, hair and bone and bread. I don't want to live nowhere else, even when I dead. I's a Bohemian, and I always late.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Deandra Cartwright. And we are kicking off our Earth Week celebrations. We're going to be talking about environmentally themed issues all week long. We're beginning today with the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection. We're very pleased to have with us National Project Manager Brenton Johnson. Great to have you with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get some definitions. What is, do you all call it DEP? Yeah, what is DEP, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, all about?
Okay, so DEP is a regulatory agency that we basically control and, control the way resources and are used in the Bahamas. So particularly water, marine parks, pine trees and mangroves. We also in charge or manage our research permits, as well as create, implement, and policies and programs.
Okay, and so what would you say are some of the biggest concerns that you have right now in terms of compliance or with the management of the resources that you're charged with?
I would particularly say it is one of the big issues is a lack of knowledge and understanding. So how our actions in our daily lives affect everybody else. So for example, dumping in the blue holes, like how that pollution can kind of go into our drinking water, also into the marine parks as well, and affect our like bonefish and other species that we know we consume. The natural products like pesticides and fungicides, how they can, again, come back to us in our foods, and so the lack of knowledge of people and their awareness has been really a big issue. So trying to get people to understand that they can make an effect, no matter how small it is.
Let's talk more about that. The awareness and people's willingness to abide by the rules, to not try to destroy every tree. We were talking about this off air, Deandra. People still clearing all the lots and all the native trees, getting mowed down. We're hearing all the time of mangroves being destroyed in the name of developments and progress. Are people getting it?
Some people are. Mainly I feel like the younger generation have a better understanding of that and are becoming more aware and conscious and trying to do certain things like composting, recycling, reducing like food waste. So again, like everything, it starts with the younger people. So getting them involved, getting them more knowledge, like starting them off young, getting them programs, so like GGYA or any environmental club, gardening. So that's been the big issue. Or not a big issue, but people who have started to see change. The big issue is probably like the older generation, mainly who are stuck in their ways because they did it their way and it's worked all this time. And now young people going to school, coming home saying, oh, I got this big degree, so like now you should do it this way. So bridging that gap of not really calling people out, but like saying, hey, there is a better way to address these issues or to do things.
Yeah. So what do we do about those older folks? Because they're still here, destroying everything.
Number one, don't. We're not here to blame or point fingers. It's just meeting them where they're at. So simple things like starting your own garden at home. Stop using like single-use plastics. Just those little things, and just kind of educating them. Putting it in media that they use. So putting the information on TV, in the newspaper, grocery stores, places like that, so they can kind of read and kind of get a better understanding of what information out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask more about the outreach per se to the older generation, the younger generation. How does STEP actually support that outreach?
So what we do,
like active campaigns and things like that.
For the both generations or just
either or both.
Okay. So currently, right now, we do have a career fair that's going on today at the National Trade Agency. So and mainly it's to reach out to the high school students, so grade 10 to 12.
Okay.
And we've gathered a bunch of different stakeholders to come together and kind of present, what they do, what they're about, and then know what opportunities there are, in the field here in the Bahamas, so that they don't think they need to just go abroad, that they can come back, and work in this industry and see, that there are people here who are doing the work. So that's one way we can do it. Another way, we also do like media outreach, so on social media, doing commercials, talk show panels. I know recently we did one on ZenAS. We had a panel about the use of mercury. I don't know if you saw the commercial, but it aired a couple of times last year. So stuff like that's what we like to do to make people aware of like of the information.
Oh, that's impactful.
All right, so you're heading up a project. Tell us about that. Is it a special project that you're working on?
Yes, so I'm the National Project Manager for the Meeting the Challenge of 2020. It is a EJEF-funded project from the UN. The main focus of the project is to increase our management of our marine protected areas. So places like Mariah Harbor Key, Bonefish Pond, Exuma Land and Sea Park. So we want to increase our presence in the marine park, so better implementing them and having better control of what's going on in there, as well as reducing the impact of environmental degradation in the areas.
Tell us how that's going to work. What are you required to do? What are the people who are in it? What will they be tasked with doing?
So one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a information system. So think of Google Maps that is going to depict all of the different zones. So mangroves, sand dunes, seagrass. So one, using that to see the different ecosystems in these marine parks, so we can better be able to make protected better management plans to protect these areas. That's one thing. Then we also want to management plans, and then also we want to get centers in these areas, that will be work over these areas. So getting individuals in there to work and to manage it. So people that we are working with are the Bahamas National Trust, Science, IECA, the Nature Conservancy, so entities like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Right. So how long is it supposed to go on for?
So it is a 5-year project, and we're currently in year 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
So, are there outcomes yet, or what have you? What?
I was just going to ask about if there are any trends from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, perhaps to see if the seagrass, for example, has improved or decreased or anything like that. Are there any analysis going on what you all are seeing?
So in terms of what is currently coming out of right now is, again, that spatial information system that we were creating. We are now we have a what's it called? Prototype that's currently out and that's being tested with the different stakeholders. In terms of what we're seeing coming out, so like testing, we're not in the testing phase as yet. There has been a few delays with the project, mainly the COVID pandemic. So that has kind of put us back a year. And so we are planning to get hopefully an extension on that, but that will be discussed later on. Sorry, and what was the other question?
Well, just what you've noticed between year 1 and 3, any changes that have come up.
I can't really speak on that as well because I just started in the position, so there was a previous project manager in front of me, so I've just came on within the last 6 months.
Okay.
So I haven't really seen any changes as of yet.
All right. So the theme for Earth Day is planet versus plastics. You mentioned plastics earlier, and we know we've made some big steps here. But was that enough? And do we need to step it up even further as we keep hearing about all kinds of marine life being found with plastics in them and finding that plastics, little tiny pieces, particles are getting into our food even. Are we too deeply entwined with plastics to separate ourselves from this? Or what really is happening here? What's the future looking like?
It's hard to say. So yes, microplastics are a huge concern for anyone in the field. To say if it's too late, it's never too late. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep doing what we can do. So no, we're not too deep into it. No, there are different organizations who are working on how to dissolve these microplastics and get them out of the ecosystem and out of our food supply. So there's still work to be done. There's a lot more that we can do. So again, stopping the use of single-use plastics, that's a big thing that can help dealing with. So, just doing what you can.
Yeah. What else should we be thinking about on this Earth Day?
Becoming environmental stewards. So actually, understanding, how your actions affects everyone else. We don't live in a bubble. No, nothing that we do is just solely affects us. It affects everyone. So understanding the cycles and how we add to them and how we also take out of them. Reducing our carbon footprint, biking to work, going on walks, not driving so much.
Biking where? Here in Providence?
Yeah.
This is for people who like
It
risks.
No, it is very possible to bike to work, you know?
Well, if you live if you work across the street from your house, maybe. But it would be nice. But we need some more driver's education before we could get to that.
And
It's
infrastructure
scary.
to possibly support
But it would be wonderful. I would love to do it.
I actually wanted to do that when I first started my last job.
Mhm.
And I was politely told by people who were concerned about me, don't do that because you'll get knocked off of your bike and you possibly may have that bike stolen and worse or whatnot.
There are more reasons to not do it than to do it.
But it
which
could
is
be
scary.
done. This is something
We
I
should
think
have a
need
national
to-
day where no cars. Everybody drive,
I feel like
ride a
somebody had
bike,
a movement for that a
or
couple
walk.
years ago, though.
Not
Like to
here.
say, like to try and use your bikes on a particular day.
Where, here?
Yeah, here, but it was like very small though, minded persons.
But we should do it. It'll be
Yeah,
great. It'll be great. How are you planning on spending Earth Day?
So, like I said, we have the career fair happening today. So after this, I'll be heading over there to work at our booth to speak with the high school students, about the project, also with other different stakeholders, so they can kind of, again, be aware of the different opportunities that we have here in the Bahamas.
Well, it's fantastic to get our youth involved. Hopefully, we can. Have
Do you
some of
want to
the-
read this question? They've sent it twice. I don't know if this comes before Deb, but this person is very concerned.
Okay.
I don't know why they don't call in.
I didn't want to
because this is madness.
acknowledge this.
Twice.
And
They
you
must
don't have
be.
to answer this if you don't.
But we just need the baby people to hear that these are the environmental concerns that people have in the country.
Okay, here we go. And I was really trying not to let things like this get to me today.
Boy. I don't have the energy for it.
We have someone asking, what is the plan to reduce the disposing of sanitary pads in the garbage and landfills because they are not biodegradable? Happy Earth Day.
And then you read the follow-up one because we did ignore that and they sent it again.
No, that's the same one.
They sent it twice. Oh, the same. Okay.
That's literally the same thing.
Does Deb have a response to that?
We want to talk about the environment. We have these same women disposing their sanitary pads in the garbage and landfill, which is not biodegradable. Let's have that discussion. Happy Earth Day. I'm going to be Dwight today. I'm going to be like, you
have a problem.
Serious problems.
But the country has a problem because that is the extent to their concern about the environment, that women and sanitary
but what would you have women do? Like, I don't understand. There actually are alternatives. Have you ever checked the prices of the... Sorry, before I get into that, you please go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
Because this is just a continuation.
Do you all have a committee to deal with that?
Last week.
I'm not aware of any activities to reduce the presence of feminine products in the landfill.
I think that's a very well-spoken diplomatic response. So, Texter, you got your response. Let me talk to you for a minute though. Like, come in. It's gonna. Why are you worried about these things? Okay, I mean the components of the particular item in which you were talking about, in most cases, do have some biodegradable components. Because it better absorbs the material that it was created to assist with. Have you perhaps educated yourself about those things? Do you know about the alternatives? Are you just that focused on trying to degrade and diminish a woman? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Perhaps you should talk to somebody about that. I think the Bahamas Association of Psychologists actually has like a call helpline, I think. It's free. Call them because you need help.
Okay. Well, Brenton Johnson. Hey, clearly a lot of work needs to be done in getting people sensitized as to the important issues that need to be addressed when it comes to the environment. But thank you so much for being here this morning. Really appreciate it. I know you didn't expect that. Neither did any of us. But hey, Department of Environmental Health Plan. Thank you very much.
Happy Earth Day. Enjoy the career fair.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a break for news. When we come back, we're talking about environmentally friendly home and business designs, things you can do to increase the efficiency of wherever you are. We'll get into that as we continue with Earth Day, Earth Week celebrations here. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
All the sun, all the peace, all the skies, all the breeze, all the breeze, all the hills, all the sand, all the trees. Oh, tell me why. Tell me why. He made these islands. Yes. Tell me.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas. Is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Earth Day, April 22nd, 2024. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with DeAndre Cartwright, and we continue with the Earth Day theme. We're talking about environmentally friendly designs in your home, businesses, the choices that you make, and more. We've got back with us from the Bahamian Contractors Association, Debbie Deal. Debbie, good morning. Always a pleasure. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me on Earth Day.
Happy
me,
Earth Day.
You know me, I'm an environmental person, environmentalist. I like anything to do with energy.
That's why we have you here today.
Yay,
yes, exactly. All right, so we're going to get into the environmentally friendly choices you can make. But you heard we were talking earlier with Deb about land use, and we know we're still having major challenges.
Right. I'd like to go lead into that, and then because 38% globally of greenhouse gas emissions comes from the construction industry.
Wow. Say that again.
38% of all greenhouse gases around the world come from the construction industry.
That's crazy.
In our country, 70% of our greenhouse gas emissions come from a thing called LULUCF, which is land use, I always get it confused. Land use change, and forestry. And that's what we were talking about. So we have laws. 2010, the Forestry Act, an amendment, 2014, the Subdivision Act, 2010. These are laws that are in place that tell us what we can and cannot do. And we are not supposed to be cutting down trees. Like you mentioned, people are cutting down trees that they'll clear, like you mentioned, an entire lot. That is not how we are supposed to do it. But again, unfortunately, we have the laws, but we're actually making sure that they are enforced. We also aren't educating persons on them. Even with the Contractors Association, this needs to get out to make sure that all contractors know what the rules are, what they can and cannot do. If you consider the fact that 70% of our carbon emissions come from this, right? Cutting down of our forests, cutting down of our hills, how we use our land, we need to change that. And the biggest problem with this in the country is the heavy equipment business is not regularized. So anybody can go to the States or wherever, buy a backhoe, buy a payloader, bring it in. You don't have to have a business license to do it. All you have to do is buy it and have an invoice. There's nowhere does it say that you actually have to have a business to do this. And then somebody, DeAndre, you could go to Dwight, who's got a backhoe, and you could say, hey, I want this piece of property cleared. And you say, okay, cool, how much? And you decide on a price. He goes in there, he just bulldozes the whole thing, piles everything up.
I don't have to show that it's my property either, right?
You don't have to, that's right. You don't have to show that it's your property. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to ask him to save certain trees. You could do whatever you want to because nobody is enforcing it. In my opinion, anything that moves, because look at the mangroves that are being destroyed. Look at what's going on in a subdivision. Whatever you cut down, if you cut down one tree, you're supposed to plant one tree. I think it's two. You have to plant two trees. But so if you get rid of the mangrove, and we're talking about our fish, and I know you called me in for building, but our fish don't have breeding grounds anymore because we are destroying them. Bimini had the breeding grounds for lemon sharks. Lemon sharks always go back to where they were born to breed. The mangroves are gone. So what we really need to do is we need to regulate that. And I've done a proposal that I will be sending to government. I've sent it out to all the persons that I think are important for me to send out. They're already in government that are in environment, whether it's Linda Panton and, the mangroves or whatever. And everybody says, yes, it's a good idea what to do. We really need to regulate this. So that's a big problem. If anybody would like to know more about it, I'd be more than happy to send them the document. And this is something this is my baby that I want to try to get passed in the next 3 to 5 years if I can.
But as you said, 70% of our carbon emissions.
Yes.
As a result of these type policies.
Yes. During COVID, there was over 300 acres of land cleared so that they could cut the trees down and they could burn them and turn them into charcoal to send to another country. Why? We need trees to absorb carbon and to give us oxygen. The carbon sinks that we have, which is the pine forest, and then of course the pine forest is also our aquifer, which give us our fresh water. Once they disappear, that was a good carbon sink that we could have actually used in the negotiation of carbon.
Credits,
Yeah. But let's go into fun stuff.
Before you do that, because you mentioned something, you talk about the trees and you talk about the hills, and that's a major concern in New Providence. I don't think we have much left now.
They cut the hills down to get filled to cover our garbage in the landfill.
And we've been told for how many decades that if with the sea levels rising, that those ridges that we have on this island at least will be the last things around. So what does that mean? This is basically a graveyard?
It does not make any sense to me at all. It should be absolutely illegal to cut down any kind of a hill. Any kind of a hill. There's no reason why you have to. There is so much vacant land in Nassau. Why do we have to cut down a hill for that? I could see where they did the one where the highway is, and I don't even know what it's called, Sir Milo Butler.
Yeah,
Highway.
yes.
I could see that because somehow you have to get through that because the hill is too steep to go over it, right? And this was done many, many years ago. So I could see something like that. But why continue to cut these down? That's also one of our barriers for hurricanes. We need, like Cayman. Cayman got hit badly because they have nothing. There was nothing to actually stop it, right? We at least have a ridge that goes around almost the entire length of the island. These are crazy things.
Not much anymore. No.
Not much anymore.
Wow. So are people getting it from what you see? I mean, because like you say, people are still mowing down all they're not asking. The forestry unit talks about it, but I don't know. Do people approach them like, this tree looks important, what should I do?
Well, if somebody's out there with a piece of equipment, there should be a permit. He should have a permit, or he or she, because women can have heavy equipment as well. He or she should have a permit on their piece of equipment showing who's hired them, right? Who's hired them, where that person lives, what their address is, their phone number, their email address, their building permit. You shouldn't be clearing land unless you have a building permit. What's the purpose of clearing land without a building permit? All of these things should actually be done.
Yeah.
And they're not being done.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And if we don't stop it soon, we might as well, find some country that will take all 400,000 of us and,
Environmental refugees, eh?
Thank you very much.
Oh, boy. All right, so the theme for Earth Day is planet versus plastics. That's an interesting one,
Right.
But they can't coincide. It seems. Is that what we've learned now after all these decades of promoting them so heavily?
Well, plastic was developed back in 1886. It's been around a long time. It's just morphed into something bigger than us because we really get lazy. And back in the day, our grandparents did not have to deal with this because they had an actual container for almost everything.
Right.
Everybody had a big basket or bag at the back door or front door. So when you were going to the market, which you probably went every day because most people didn't have refrigerators, right? You had that. You didn't have to have a bag. And then, of course, places like Europe and Germany, I'm using that as an example because when I was there as a kid, I lived there when I was a kid, and if you went to a store to buy something, they just pushed it at the end of the counter, and you had to figure out how to get it home. There was no question about having a plastic bag there, none whatsoever. We've never done that. We adopt whatever the United States does. We just think that we're just like another appendage of the United States. We're not. We're the Bahamas. We're this pristine, beautiful, amazing country that people from all over the world come to and are in awe of things that we just absolutely take for granted.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. And now we have, 10 million a year coming here? Yeah.
All right, so we all have a role to play. We can make everything around us more environmentally friendly and more efficient, and that's what we're going to talk about today with you.
Right.
Choices that you can make in your homes or in your business to make things better.
Yeah, well, my big environmental product is isonine, right? I talk about that all the time. It's like the number one lead product in the world. It was developed in 1986 when a woman died from the fiberglass and mold getting in her lungs because the vent was over her bed, and a scientist in Canada decided to create a product that is environmentally friendly. Fiberglass is okay, but it doesn't stay. You've got to staple it on the rafters. The staples rust and it falls down. Vermin love it because they can make nests out of it. When you try to apply it, your arms get all itchy because fiberglass is itchy. Isonine has none of those problems, none whatsoever. Isonine will reduce your attic temperature by about 35 to 40%. It'll reduce your entire house about windows to insulated windows, right? So there's so many products that we can actually use here that we have already here that we can actually make our energy bills a lot lower. Because we know the energy company is challenged. So what we have to do is we have to take it in. These are things we can do for ourselves. It's our house. It's where we live. If you rent, unfortunately, your landlord may not be as receptive to doing these things. But we also need to get real estate persons and persons who manage properties on board to actually do these things, to change out your light bulbs to LED, to have isonine in the attic to make sure that the temperature level is not 140 degrees, which is what an average attic is, right? Wow. It should be about 85 maximum, right? I'm trying to think, there was one other thing I was going to say. Anyway, blonde. It went in and out. So there's a lot of things that we can actually, insulated windows. I mean, that's great. But if you don't have that and you want to make your house cooler, there's Bahamas shutters. You can get the shutters that are hinged at the top, and they look, like the old homes. They keep the heat out, but the breeze still comes in. There's so many things that we can actually do. And we need architects to design buildings that are made for putting solar on your house. Had we known 30 years ago that we were going to be wanting to do this, we would have not been doing roofs that are hip roofs. A hip roof is one that has an angle going up like this and then a ridge at the top. A gable end roof is like my hands are going, like an upside down V.
Right.
Well, a gable roof has a large flat area that you can put solar panels on. Ooh. And as long as you place it so that it's facing southwest, you could actually utilize that to energize your home, right? To heat your water. There's so many things that we can actually do. So to me, if I was going to build a house again, I would take the property and I would put up one of those wooden stands where you can go up and you could check to see which way what the winds are going, right? To make sure that you place your house and design it in a fashion that you're going to get the best from the winds, from Mother Nature, right? And then the rest you take up with what you can actually do from what man has actually designed and made to make our life a little bit better here. Because we know that these are problems. We know that we are going to have intense heat. We know that we're going to have intense rain. We know that these are things that are going to happen. We have to build for them. We have water that we get floods because we don't have rainwater tanks. I mean, why did we stop doing rainwater tanks? Well, we stopped because people say it's too expensive. But you know what? You can buy an actual tank and you could bury it in the ground, just like a septic tank. You could bury that and you could have that water, the rainwater from your gutters, go into that you could use for gardening. You could use it for flushing toilets, right? There's so many things that we could actually do if we would stop thinking that every single human being in this country must have their own house. A lot of people really don't want to. They want to lease to buy or they want to rent because they don't want to have the responsibility of the maintenance of a property because it is expensive. When you build a house, that's not the end of it. That's the beginning.
Yeah.
You have to make sure money is set aside for all of these things that are going to have to be done. Eventually, the roof will have to be redone. Eventually, your plumbing fixtures may have to be changed. Eventually, doors might have to be changed. People have to really think about the products that they use. Wood is a lovely product for an exterior door, but feasible to have a wooden door here, unless you're going to use mahogany or something like that. That is something that is sustainable.
Right.
We need to think sustainability when we design.
I want to
and
come
when we
back to
build.
that too, because there's lots of things that you say. We're so easily influenced by the U.S. We think we can do this too, but it just doesn't fit in with our environment. We want to talk about that in a bit. But there's so many things you said. Solar, we want to get to that too. I
have one more thing.
Yeah,
I wanna-
one more
I
thing.
wanna
Then
talk
there
about.
would-
One
okay.
more quick thing. Okay, so there's a product called industrial hemp. You get 3 growing seasons a year. It takes anywhere from 60 to 100 days to grow up to about 14 feet. It does not need any fertilizer. It does not need any pesticides whatsoever. And it absorbs more carbon, 8 times more carbon than trees. This would be a great carbon sink, and it's also a product that can actually be ground down into small, they call them shivs, believe it or not, SHIVES, they call them that, ground down into small pieces, and it can be mixed with lime, and it can be mixed with water, and it could be, you could turn it into blocks. You can make like 8-inch masonry blocks for building that absorbs more carbon, and it never releases the carbon, even if you were to break this block down. So it never releases it. So it's a lifetime absorbent of carbon. It's lightweight. It's easy to use, and it grows so quickly. We could actually be making that here. You know, right now we're bringing our rock in, right? Dredging our sand from the sea, which we're not going to be able to change anything that, but there is a way of making, what's it called? We used to buy it for our concrete mix. Manufactured sand. You make it from the limestone. You just grind it down, and you do that instead of mining it from the sea. And you mix that, and you can actually put the finish on a building. It's fireproof and waterproof. 14 years ago, I investigated plywood made out of hemp because I figured, why are we not having roofs that don't leak, right? And California actually makes plywood out of industrial hemp, and it's fireproof and waterproof. And you can actually get it from California.
Wow.
These are things that are being made. These are plants that are being grown. You could actually, the out islands, let's say Mayaguana, just for fun, you could actually grow hemp there, and that could be a product that they could actually export, or they could do something with there, right? There's nothing else growing there. And there's so many islands that there's very few people, a lot. We could actually be doing these things, and we could be doing them for construction.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that we could actually do.
And people talk about that all the time. That is what's missing from the whole cannabis discussion here. Just the things that could be done with the byproducts.
Right, yeah, because it's not,
yeah.
The difference between cannabis and industrial hemp is there's no THC.
Right.
So it's not one of those products where, I mean, if you want to go smoke the whole field, you can, but nothing's going to happen.
Right.
And you can make edibles too, but nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but these are things that we could use in the construction industry, fireproof and waterproof. 2 things that we desperately need here.
But if you were to try to use it now, there would be issues, I imagine.
I don't know, and I don't think so. There's a Bahamian who actually lives in Vancouver, who actually created one of the products, and he's actually been here to do demonstrations with his product. Yeah.
All right. Let's take this call quickly, then we'll get to some of the things you brought up that I want to touch on. Good morning, caller. On Morning Blend Business. We're talking with Debbie Deal.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strachan.
Hi.
Good morning to the lady, Debbie Deal, of information. And so the fact that she mentioned the guy from Vancouver, they are at the forefront of this hemp industry and also the cannabis industry. I'd read a book years ago named The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and they discuss everything that she speaks about, even how they could have used hemp to impede the deforestation of the earth, because hemp is reaped 3 times a year, and it can be used for all type of, they said over 6,000 products, but it can also be used in the building industry. And so I'm glad she mentioned that, but what I wanted to highlight was the fact that, you know, she you know, when you look at it in your development, the mango trees and the pine trees have the highest carbon offset, as I see here. So I'm wondering, why are we still, you know, and she made something that really upset me last week, because you know where BPL is on Blue Road by Case House, there's a bus stop there, and there's a bunch of trees. I don't know if they're Casuarina, but they're pretty old. They have a thick cambium. They was always there from almost like a fixture. It's just east of their where they keep the wires, so it's on the south side of their property. And they trimming the trees for the architects right down. Man, some of them even as tall as me. But I was wondering like why they couldn't work with that and train the people to be less invasive. The trees will rebound eventually, but the trees were like maybe 40 feet. I mean, they were high, and then they cut them right down to nothing. But is that necessary? And then the fact that you're saying that what you're saying is so important in this carbon construct paradigm, which is the fast in any which event. I was wondering what they're doing the opposite of what they're practicing. People are still cutting down the forest and the pine trees, given the fact that I said that mangroves, our mangroves, like you said, and our pine trees, they offset carbon. They have the highest offset rate than the oak tree. They have it listed. So we're not practicing what we're preaching, and we must stop this forest now, but we're going to be underwater in 50 years. Let's educate the people about planetary shift. Wherever the water was, it shall go. And, let's put trust in God. Man cannot, we have to live symbiotically with the planet, but the planet cannot be destroyed. It will always reinvent itself. So it's not carbon dioxide is not the problem.
Okay, let's get Debbie to respond to
I have one thing I'd like to say.
Yeah,
I have one thing I'd like to say about that is, so when you're going to build and you have an architect, right, and you have your piece of property, and that goes into building control, and then it goes in to get approved, right? Somebody from the Ministry of Works should actually take a look at your property, and are you underground electricity or are you overhead? If you are overhead, then there needs to be a stipulation in your building permit that you will not grow trees that would be within, let's say, 6 to 8 feet of the boundary. Because right now what's happening is BPL ends up having to go to all these subdivisions to cut down trees because lines go out, and then everybody's moaning and groaning that the lines go out. Yeah. We can't have it both ways. So before something is built, I would think that is something that should be put into in one of the inspections, right?
And with some of the trees he's talking about, I think some of those are invasive trees.
Well, if it's really need that here, we have enough of our own amazing trees that we need to actually start repopulating. Cocoa plum and all these kind of stuff that you can hardly even see. Gamalame. I mean, you have to go to South Andros, places like that to see these trees, right? Yeah.
So Casuarina is one of those, and they don't. Yeah, a lot of people.
Right,
it's a big movement to remove those.
Right, and of course, all you need is a good wind, and then the seeds fall, and then they grow somewhere else. We have to be really careful of that. But
all right, so some of the things you mentioned, and I'm sure you hear it. People will say, "Well, these things aren't cheap to put in." Especially replacing all the windows in your home or your business, solar even, and we're going to talk about solar in depth tomorrow. But talk about it for those who are saying, "What, Debbie, all these things cost too much money. I can't afford this right now."
All right. So I agree that the insulated impact windows are expensive. I totally agree. I've had my windows in my house for 38 years. Most of those windows I can't even open and close anymore.
Oh boy.
When a hurricane comes, I basically have to call my guy Gayland and say, "Come close my windows for me." I don't care if we open.
Right.
I've just purchased 2 windows for my house because I have many to buy. Can't afford to buy many, so I've replaced I am replacing the 2.
One at a time.
Yeah, I'm doing the 2 that to me are the main ones because they have wooden arches, and the termites have decided that that's their new home. And we don't like having what do you call it, shanty towns. And I've got 2 shanty towns, one growing over my dining room window, one growing over my kitchen window. So I'm replacing those ones first, right? But think about, you have to do hurricane protection. So if you have a regular window, then you have to have hurricane protection. Okay, you add those 2 costs together, it pretty much comes up to the cost of the insulated impact windows. And please God, make sure that you actually are buying a window that really is an impact window. That it actually has a certificate on it, so that you know that it's not somebody who said. Because there's a lot of people here that are selling them, and they're not really. They say they are. But let's have a no. Let's not. Never mind. Forget putting mouth on anything.
Right.
Yeah. So they are expensive. But isonine is $2.37 a square foot. It might cost you $1,500 or $1,800 to put it in. That would be you'd get that back in 3 months of your energy bill.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, why wouldn't you do something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important. Keeps
And back
your
to
entire
the
house cool.
windows. I mean, you have to. Some people every season are buying the plywood to put the
yes, and then
on
you've
the
got
homes.
holes on the outside of your
Yeah.
house, and then you've got to refix that.
Right.
I mean, really, do we have
Or
to
you
do
got to
that?
find a place to store the hurricane shutters.
Yes.
And that.
And then still, if you have a
put them on.
two-story house, then you're going to need somebody. If you have a single-story house, it's easier. But the Bahamas shutters, and they're very inexpensive now, I think, because more people are using them. Basically, a 10-year-old could take a butter knife and go outside on a single-story house, take the bars off, unscrew the little nut that's in the wall, and it's a big screw like that. So you could even use a putty knife to do that. Take that out, close it. There's a little thing that goes on the side of the shutter, and put the screw back in there, and within, I don't know, a minute and a half, that can be closed up.
Yeah.
You could do an entire downstairs, a single-story house in about 20 minutes. Even if you're 10 years old, you could do it. So and I'm not trying to push that particularly. I know a lot of people are not really crazy about the impact windows because they don't want to see the storm. So if you don't want to see the storm, then you could actually put the shutters on so that you still get ventilation.
You could close your drapes.
Well, I don't have drapes in my house.
Okay.
I want to see nature.
Right.
I want to see my trees, and I want to see my orchids, and I want to see things, the birds and everything. But I guess some people could
I
do
want
that.
to see where the storm is, so I need to see it. Right. All right. So what else can you do? And maybe for your business, what else do you see mistakes that people are making? Like, this is going to cost you money, short term and long term.
In the design of a home, you mean? I think what's happened is, again, we believe that we're an appendage of the United States, and we believe that we must have a huge, massive house, right? Yeah. But actually, you don't really have to have a huge, massive house. If you're smart, you will build a house that has enough bedrooms for everybody, maybe 2.5 bathrooms, a nice kitchen, dining room, living room, like all in one kind of thing, and then you'll build yourself a nice big porch outside. So you can live outside, so that you can barbecue outside, so you can have, a table and chairs and everybody can come visit, and you can actually do that rather than building such a large home. If you later wanted to add on, you can. But I mean, financially, we've learned that you build something, you get a mortgage. Oh, by the way, only 70% of Bahamians actually 70% of Bahamians do not qualify for getting a mortgage or any kind of financing, yes. I learned that in church yesterday. Matthew Sweeting. Hello. Guide me as to where I was.
Right. So what you can do if your business or your house to the mistakes that you're making. You're saying we are too easily influenced by the U.S. or copying
right,
what
and
we
the
see
size.
in the US.
And the size. I think we need to start doing, because we are low lying and that we have hurricanes and that we've learned from watching many of them that there's people out on jet skis and that type of thing trying to save people in their houses, and they can't up and back in, I think Andrew, a couple people died in Lower Bogue because they got stuck in the attic and the water went that high and they drowned. So I would even put in some gables, some dormer windows. I would probably put in 2, facing whichever way you want to face, depending on, with the breeze coming in and out, that kind of thing. And I would do it mostly so that if something does happen and you do have to go up into your attic, you have a way of getting out. That's something that I would do. Right. Only because of where we live. If I lived in another country, I wouldn't put them in. To me, they're just a waste of money. But it's not really pretty when you have a hurricane. And I think many people in Abaco and Grand Bahama could vouch for that and say, God, I wish I had a way that I could have gotten out of my roof.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're going to be talking about solar later in the week. So tune in if people clearly have a lot of questions about that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to that. But electric vehicles,
yes.
We're heading this direction, but are people with new construction considering adding this component to their homes or having it in place? And then we can talk about retrofitting older homes. But what are we seeing?
That's also the question I had with the retrofitting, because somebody told me that you can just use I think like it's an extension of some kind. You just put it into any regular outlet.
What?
I'm like,
No
what?
way.
What?
No, when they
No.
said this to me, and I'm like, I don't think it works
No,
that way. They were like,
it definitely
no, you
doesn't.
can actually just buy it and then plug it up. I'm like,
For what?
no,
For an
for
electric
the car.
vehicle? No.
Yes.
Debbie,
Oh, goodness peace.
clear it up for
Goodness
people.
peace. No, that is not the case at all. It's a specialized adapter that you're going to need for it. You can retrofit your house to actually accommodate that. I mean, you can either do it on the side of your house, or if you have a garage, that type of thing. To me, a garage is a big waste of space. I don't know anybody who parks their car in the garage.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know anybody who. It's like a balcony. You're going to use them. I've never seen people. I drive through many subdivisions. I never see people on their balcony, and it's such a waste of money. Why would you do that?
I know a few people on the
Do you?
balcony often.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
I'm just
Most
thinking of
people
money.
don't.
You know,
yeah.
if you're going to if you have a budget and you want to spend your money wisely, spend it on things that are going to be beneficial to you, that are going to reduce your energy costs, that are going to make your life better, that your home is going to be more comfortable. You know, you want comfort, you want size, you want ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most you should not build a house that does not have a window in every room. You know, that we need to make sure that we're planning things in that fashion, so that we don't have a bunch of rooms on the inside that have to have lights on a regular basis. I mean, but these are things, you know, you look in a magazine and this is what they do. That's not what we need to do here. No one should have to have a light on in the daytime in your house. I mean, think about it, really. Maybe a powder room or something, you know, but that's a light that would be on for, 2 minutes, then you're gone, you know?
Yeah.
And then you can do all those things where you can have when you open the door, the light goes on, and when you close the door, the light goes off. There's actually do here, and they're not that expensive, and they really, really help. But I think the design of the house, making it smaller, and I'm not saying you have to build an 800 square foot house, but I'm just saying be realistic, right? After your kids grow up, it's going to be you and your wife, right? That's it. Unless you're going to have, you know, maybe the kids will come back and live with you while they you know, get a job and get themselves on their feet and then go out. But I mean, think about the long term of the house. Don't think about right this very second. We always think of right now, don't we? And I think thinking further down in the future, I think that's important. Talk to your kids. Would you want this house if something happens to us, or when we pass on? Would you want this house? Is there anything that you would like to actually do with this house that we should think about now? I mean, that's what we should be thinking about.
That's interesting. Okay.
You know, a lot of people don't even have a will, let alone talk about their kids about what they want to do with the house when they die, or the property when they die. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Are you seeing people take these things into consideration with new construction? Are they like, we will need a couple places, or we'll need this? I wonder if
people
factor in solar panels, that kind of thing.
Most people that are environmentally savvy are actually doing that. Yes. You know.
And that's
Yes.
what percentage of the population?
It's not a great, you know, but it's, again, we have architects in the country, and you have to have, well, you don't really, anything under 3,500 square feet, you only need a draftsman, but architects should be the ones who should point out these things to clients. There should be an environmental list of things. This is just in my opinion. I don't sit on the board there, so I can't be bossy. But there's things that I would actually think of and make sure that these are things that I would mention to the client, and I would give them a disclaimer letter. You know that we have mentioned these things to you, right? And these are things that we know will benefit you in the future, and we just want you to sign that you have been informed about these things. We have to start talking about the environment as part of our life, and not just something that happens once a year on the 22nd of April, right? It's not just Earth Day.
Right.
Absolutely every day.
Folks, give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. All right. I think we are being trolled. This
Is it a
person,
continuation
no,
from earlier?
it's really, this is insane. What's really
Is it
going
the
on
same
here? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Oh my God.
Let me see.
Anyway. Dwight, do you mind asking Debbie Deal, whom I regard as highly as a female contractor, about helping my group to advocate for laws for disposing of non-biodegradable products like plastic, sanitary napkins, etc.?
Okay, so we have a landfill. It's called the Eco Park. And they, for the last couple of years, they've been working on getting an area for hazardous and toxic waste. There's a building there that they basically had to empty out, clean it up, and using and waste and things like mercury, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody mentioned mercury. I think the fellow that was here before me, mm-hmm. right? You know, we signed on to the Minamata Convention back in 2018. So this is something we have CFLs everywhere. We need to actually take those somewhere and store them because mercury is poison. It causes neurological and brain disorders. If you're a breastfeeding mother and you have been using skin lightening products and it has mercury in it, most of them do, you have to be very careful. Your child can actually end up with neurological and brain disorders from that. So we need those are the hazardous things are the ones that we need from the Basel Convention, the Montreal Protocol, the Rotterdam Convention. Anything from those hazardous wastes are the most important things that we need to keep out of our landfill, because our landfill is just everything just gets thrown in there and buried. Yeah. And what happens is anything that's toxic goes into only one of the landfill bays or whatever they're called is lined. The rest of them are not. So everything else goes into our water table. And our water table is not stagnant. It goes anywhere the natural. I really didn't know that a sanitary napkin was a product that shouldn't be. I mean, what about diapers? Would that not be the same similar condition? I mean, how do we...
only seems to be concerned about the female sanitary napkins.
Well, then there's tampons. You know, I mean, there are alternatives. Maybe that person should be vying and pushing women to actually use a different product instead of the one that he's or she, it could be a she, are talking about.
I am not saying a thing.
Yeah, I think we should just leave that there. Okay, some other quick tips for people. I would hope by now everyone swapped out the incandescent bulbs and even the CFLs, right? That we're all LED'd up, right?
We should be. We should all be LED'd up. Yes.
And the prices have definitely come down. They are. That's not an issue
anymore.
There's
a store that I go to all the time, and you can get 4 for $8. I mean, they're less than an incandescent bulb, which are the old-fashioned ones. They're less than that. Because if you go to, there's a grocery store here that still sells the incandescent bulbs in a 2-pack, and they're actually more than the LED would be. So yes, that's very important. Number one, to get rid of mercury. Number one, so it's a health issue as well, and also to reduce your energy costs. Again, isonine, any way to insulate. If you're going to plant trees, please plant trees, but plant a tree that has fruit. It doesn't make sense. Well, it does. You want shade as well, but fruit trees also create. If you've got areas like maybe you have your windows on the east, and in the morning the sun comes up and it's so stinking hot in that room that you can barely do anything, plant a tree or put a Bahama shutter on that particular window. If you're in a corporate, like a corporate building, again, the same things are so important. The isonine can reduce your energy costs for a large business so much that, again, if you talk about a corporate social responsibility, right, which is a global thing now, businesses are actually thinking about what they can actually do to be more environmentally responsible. The money that they save can actually go into the community and or back into their staff. Right? So, I mean, these are things. I was contacted by Bahamas First during COVID, and they came and we had a conversation about this. Very environmentally friendly. Did the whole corporate social responsibility thing. And there's 2 other companies that are also doing exactly the same thing. They're taking issue with what would be the benefit of us changing it, right? Because there's always a benefit. It doesn't have to be to you. The benefit could be, the money could be back in your business, but the benefit could go to the community.
Right.
We all live in communities, right? We have to start thinking about not just you and me and my kids or whatever, right? Although that's a good thing to think about, but there's also the community, people around you that you need to also help. Even if it's just with advice. It doesn't necessarily have to be money or food, it could be advice. I mean, you do what you can do, but we could all do our part. And Earth Day is all about not just Earth, it's about the humans on the Earth and what the humans are doing to protect the Earth so that their kids and grandkids can actually have a good place to live. They can actually have food to eat. They can still go outside and pick fruit off of a tree or pick a tomato off of a plant. We need to make sure that this actually happens. And again, when you're designing your house, you can also design it in a way where you have one section of the yard where you could actually have a garden, you know. Remember Daisy Nottage from Andrus? She won awards for pothole farming. You can't tell me. No, but she did. She would take the leaves and everything, and she would just turn it into humus, basically, eventually. And she would just put that in the holes, and she gardened in pothole farming. She won a global prize for pothole farming.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's things that we can do, but we've gotten away from it, right? Everybody says, "Oh, I can't do a garden." Yes, you can. Yeah.
Tips, Debbie, a lot to think about. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. Debbie Deal,
welcome.
happy Earth Day to you.
Thank you so much.
And folks, we're going to have more conversations like this all week long, so stay tuned. Thank you again.
You're
We're going to take a break and then be back to wrap things up. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
You've heard of electric. It's time you drive one. Easy Car Sales welcomes you to experience the power and prestige of the latest electric vehicles. Plug in at home for a 65% discount off your gas bill and never get stuck at the pump again. Build your dreams of a better future with a better car, the BYD EV. Visit easy242.com to book your free test drive today. Save your money while driving in style, only at Easy Car Sales.
The signs are clear. It's time to pay less for your current mortgage by switching to Scotiabank. Enjoy lower interest rates and no payments up to 2 months when you switch to Scotiabank today. Plus, we'll even pay your switch costs. It's that easy. Ready to switch to Scotiabank? Call us today at 242-356-1697 or visit bs.scotiabank.com to switch your mortgage to become mortgage-free faster.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It's time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL. Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank, Alan Bowe, says the latest review of the Bahamas by Moody's credit rating agency affirms that the economy is on the right track. Bowe telling reporters outside the Chartered Financial Analyst Society of the Bahamas annual dinner last week that the Moody's assessment reflects the improving employment statistics. Moody's, in its periodic review of the Bahamas released April 17th, said the credit profile for the country is supported by the government's commitment to economic and fiscal reforms of the past decade. This has helped to reduce the country's high debt burden and place debt on a downward trend. The Bahamas has a track record of pursuing structural economic reforms, which reflect capacity and policy effectiveness. You can read more about the report in today's Guardian Business section. The managing director of Scotiabank Bahamas Limited praising the Central Bank of the Bahamas for relaxed mortgage lending rules, allowing the bank to extend more mortgages to customers close to a 10% down payment. Roger Archer telling reporters outside the Chartered Financial Analysts Society of the Bahamas annual dinner that the relaxed lending rules for residential mortgages implemented last December are giving Scotiabank the confidence to engage clients in buying a second home. A new terminal building for the North Luther Airport will begin in earnest by the end of the year, with its completion slated for the end of 2025. That's according to Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper. He says that the Eleuthera, Harbor Island, and Spanish Wells Business Outlook last week. Cooper added that the funding to make it possible to begin several airport terminals across the country has been approved by Cabinet and will be available by July. The Central Bank of the Bahamas' sand dollar, the country's digital currency, is steadily approaching $3 million in circulation and will launch a new wallet app soon. Central Bank Governor John Roll says that the new wallet app is undergoing last-minute testing and will be launched in the near future. And Nassau Cruise Port has donated $1.95 million to the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources to aid in the country's bid to increase food security. That's according to a statement from the ministry on the donation. That statement says that NCP CEO Mike Mora was treated to presentations on several programs that will be served by the donation, including a poultry program for schools, a chicken broiler production program, the redevelopment of the Blue Hill Road Farmers Market, and an authentic Bahamian cultural concept store. Mora says NCP is excited about the prospects of offering more locally produced food at the cruise port. Overseas, work is set to begin today on a $12 billion high-speed passenger rail line between Las Vegas and the Los Angeles area, with officials projecting millions of ticket buyers will be boarding trains by 2028. Brightline West, a train between Miami and Orlando in Florida, aims to lay 218 miles of new track between a terminal to be built just south of the Las Vegas Strip and another new facility in Rancho Cucamonga in California. Almost the full distance is to be built in the median of Interstate 15, with a train with a station stop in San Bernardino County. In a statement, Brightline Holdings founder and chairperson Wes Edens calling the moment the foundation for a new industry. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Friday, your market movers, Commonwealth Bank moving 8,979,650 shares, closing down 1 cent to $5.29. Emera Incorporated up 7 cents, closing at $8.31. Consolidated Water up 7 cents, closing at $4.89. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,873.09, up 0.13. Recapping the week, the local market ended the week with 9,134,753 shares crossing the exchange, with 20 trades, accumulating a value of $47,955,292. The BISX All Share Index lost 28.8 points, or 0.99%. Year to date, the index is up 20.05 points, or 0.70%. Volume and value leader, Commonwealth Bank, moving 8,999,375 shares in 4 trades for a value of $47,607,201. That's your Market Watch, and that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. Tune in to CFAL Talks tonight here on Guardian Radio 96.9 at 6:30 p.m. Deandra Carter, we are back here with our final minute of Morning Blend Business on this Earth Day. A couple of text messages coming in late here. This person says here, yard, we so jam up in Nassau, there's no breeze. Well, you're in the wrong part, I guess. I don't know. Or something is not quite about how, and that's what Debbie was talking about, right? How the building was designed and where, right,
to catch the winds.
and we don't know if the architects are doing that anymore. That's a great idea, right? To see where the direction comes in. Maybe you need to build this house at a diagonal, right? You need
Basically, don't try to figure out ways to advocate for yourself when building.
Yeah, absolutely. This person says here, oh boy, I've heard that LED bulbs are harmful to us as humans. Yeah, really? Well, how? The old ones are better for us. That they are, and that those are the ones they're banning in the U.S. What have you? Why? Where have you heard this from? That you think they're banning them because they really care about us? If that was the case, the world would be a better place. That doesn't make any sense. What you're saying? Oh God! It's always about the money. It's never about and control. It's never about us.
I think it's also, at least going with the light note just very quickly. I think it has something to do with not being able to get to sleep and things like that. But then that's like light therapy and whatnot. So maybe not directly related.
Well, why are the LEDs not good? What?
No,
That's what you're saying?
They can be saying they can possibly interrupt your sleep cycle and sleep patterns and things like that.
Turn it off. Turn off the light. Right. I don't know what you're saying, but the old ones blow out very often, and you have to keep buying new ones. The LEDs last for many years if you use them correctly, and that was to help you save money. The CFLs, maybe that's what you're talking about. Is that what you mean? Those are harmful because they contain mercury, and if they were to break, then you can get yourself into big problems. And you can't throw those into the trash. They're not supposed to get into the landfill. So maybe you mean the CFLs, the curly ones? Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Maybe something else to be regulated.
Well, good luck trying. They're going to be very expensive, and they're not going to be, you're going to be buying them often. So I don't know. But anyway, hey, we'll have more throughout the week here. Deandra, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, thank you.
Always happy to be here, Dwight.
See you next time. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Everybody have a great day. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.